Tonight, schools across the province were quiet this morning as teachers hit the picket lines in a one-day strike. Also, Tim Reid is out as president and CEO of Regina Exhibition Association Limited. Plus, helping hands on freezing days, how one man has been boosting others through the cold snap.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, January 16th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. 13,000 teachers walked off the job in Saskatchewan today for a one-day strike. They say they're doing it for their students. Reid has more.
Things were very quiet for a Tuesday morning at schools across Saskatchewan. These schoolyards, usually full of kids, were empty as their teachers took part in a one-day strike. But it was a different story outside the legislature in Regina and outside malls in Saskatoon, which were just some of the 40 locations in the province where educators were picketing, 13,000 of them on strike.
This was to tell the government we're serious, consider it a warning shot, but everything's on the table.
Negotiations between the Saskatchewan Teachers Federation and the government have been stalled over several months. In December, discussions ended at an impasse. Teachers want the government to address issues around classroom complexity and sizes.
They want to minimize these negotiations down to one issue around salary, and that is a complete misrepresentation about the facts at the table. We are fighting for supports around students' learning conditions.
But the government says it's not willing to negotiate class sizes at the table. It says it's something that school boards can decide for themselves, and today's job action didn't change that position.
We think school divisions are best positioned to manage that, and again, we're going to continue working with school divisions to support them in that. You know, the union's request is basically to take that away from locally elected school boards, which we don't believe is in the best interest of education.
But teachers disagree and point to examples.
This is something that can be bargained. The conciliator said it can be bargained, and we have seen it bargained across the country and other provincial organizations as well.
For months, teachers and supporters have been vocal about the state of education in Saskatchewan. They say students aren't getting what they need, let alone deserve.
Where are the next nurses and doctors going to come from if this government won't fund education?
We have students with learning needs that aren't being met. We have students with behavioral needs that aren't being met. Students are at an all-time high for anxiety since COVID, and we don't have the resources to deal with it.
Both sides are hopeful an agreement is reached soon, but no bargaining is planned. The STF says they don't have plans for another strike at this time, but other job action like work to rule, which means things like no extracurricular support, is on the table. Reid, CBC News, Regina.
Some homeowners opened their doors to give teachers a warm place to escape the cold today. Waibo Ottenbreit-Born offered up coffee and muffins at his house near the Albert Street Bridge in Regina. He's also a grade 1 teacher.
We thought we'd offer our home to let people warm up and have a snack, have some coffee and or hot chocolate, and keep on going. This morning somebody dropped off some muffins on the front step. Somebody offered a bunch of money to buy more treats and coffee as well. And then so someone else helped me bring some of that over here. And then at the end, if there's leftovers, we'll just bring it over to the community fridge and share with the people around as well. It's unfortunate that we've gotten to this point. We'd rather be in the classroom. We have larger size classrooms. We have less support for the kids in the classroom, whether it's a psychologist or a speech pathologist. There's a lot of supports that we need in the classrooms to meet the needs of the kids. So when that doesn't happen, the kids are suffering. So that's the main pressure point that we are feeling in the classroom. And I know people will say, well, you're hurting the kids' education by them not being in the classroom. Well, their education is hurting already, and we need to have it fixed. And if we need to leave the classroom in order to try get that fixed and get attention into the classroom, then that's what we're ready to do.
The public inquest examining the violent stabbing attacks at James Smith Cree Nation in Weldon is concluding its second day. Yesterday, an RCMP officer testified about the hours leading up to the attacks. Today, detailing the attacks themselves. Many of the families of the victims of the September 2022 attacks are at the inquest. Others chose not to attend. But the goal is to set the record straight on what happened and to come up with recommendations to prevent something similar from happening again. Daryl Burns hopes it helps change the drug issues he says are present in the community and the next generation's perspective of it.
So now that they have an understanding of what could happen if they continue with the drug life, the drug style, you know, the tragedy that happened, like, that's huge. And I don't know if any of our parents out in the community ever expected something like that. So now that we know that it is possible, maybe we can take the steps to change that behavior.
Burns says he's hopeful that leaders follow through with recommendations rather than leave them on paper. The CBC's Jason Warwick has been sitting through today's testimony at the inquest in Melfort, and he joins us now. Jason, I cannot imagine how difficult today was for those in attendance. What can you tell us about today?
Sam, the families affected had to sit through a minute-by-minute chronology of that fateful day, September 4th, 2022, the day that 11 people were stabbed to death and 17 others injured. RCMP Constable Robin Zentner of the Major Crimes Unit was the only witness today. He laid out the exact chronology of that day, and without going into too much detail, it was extremely graphic. He talked about the 911 calls, which were also played for the very first time when you heard people crying for help and begging the RCMP to get there. They played videos of the RCMP responding, the dash cams, which showed the cars reaching speeds of 170 kilometers an hour as they rushed to try and help in the community. They also included a lot of the grisly crime scene photos. And at one point, before they actually showed some very graphic detail, Coroner's Counsel Timothy Howrluck paused the inquest to ask if anyone wanted to leave the room or cover their eyes because it was so traumatic. It was so difficult for the families that with 20 minutes to go before the lunch break, Coroner Blaine Bevan stopped the proceedings because he said he could see the heavy emotional toll this was taking on everyone. And again, many of these details had been released by RCMP previously at an event right here earlier last year. But it's just the level of extreme detail that was released today that made it so difficult for many of these families. Many of the families said they did want these kinds of answers. They wanted these kinds of details, but they said that didn't make it any easier. Of course, only a couple dozen of family members attended today. Many people chose not to attend. Those who were here were supported and did make use of the elders and mental health support workers that took them into private rooms off the main auditorium. Others were very emotional when they were in the hallways or outside. It's been an extremely difficult day for people, but again, mixed feelings here. Some say that this is just re-traumatizing the community for no reason. Others are hoping that over this 2 or 3 weeks, there will be some good that comes out of this and some lessons that can be learned to make things better in the future.
Jason, now that we've been through the timeline, what can we expect moving forward through this inquest?
Well, the chronology, the basic chronology has been established now. And so tomorrow, for example, it's expected that the first 2 responding officers, those ones who we saw the video of their vehicle driving to respond first in the community, they're expected to testify. And we got a bit of detail about what they saw and heard and experienced when they came into the community, when they tried to simultaneously treat wounded victims and search for a fugitive. And at that point, they were going on very little information. They had no idea of the scope of what this would become. Miles Sanderson, the killer, moved very quickly to many different locations. So we're going to hear what those officers experienced. We're also going to hear from emergency responders, other family members, and others among these 30 witnesses that are expected in the next 2 to 3 weeks, Sam.
Thanks for this, Jason. Take care.
You're welcome.
The CBC's Jason Warwick in Melfort. After a chaotic year, the head of Regina Exhibition Association Limited, or REAL, is out. Tim Reid was fired without cause as CEO and president of the organization. Reid was responsible for REAL District, the Brand Centre, Mosaic Stadium, and for attracting concerts and events to the city. At one point, he was also the CEO of Tourism Regina. REAL's interim board chair, who is also Regina's city manager, explained what without cause means.
I would say that the definition of letting an employee go without cause is that there is no action that they took that caused us to release him.
Reid's dismissal means he will be paid 8 months' salary, about $170,000. That's according to a copy of his contract obtained by CBC. Anderson says new eyes are necessary to lead REAL, that there were concerns about stability, a worsening financial situation, and issues with REAL's reputation, a reference to the failed Experience Regina campaign. The president and CEO job will be posted. In the meantime, Roberta Engel has been appointed to act in the role. The political landscape is shifting in Alberta. Provincial NDP leader and former Premier Rachel Notley is stepping down.
The opportunity to serve this party in this province has been the honor of my life.
Notley made the announcement today. It comes nearly 8 months after she lost the 2023 election to Premier Danielle Smith. Notley led Alberta's NDP for nearly 10 years, and she was Premier from 2015 to 2019. She says she'll stay on until the party picks a new leader. She did not say what she plans to do next. A live look now over the city of Regina, where it's currently minus 20 degrees. A little drifting snow, a little windy out there, minus 33 with the wind chill. Looks like the polar vortex is starting to let up its grip on Saskatchewan. Ethan will have your full forecast after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. When it gets this cold, it can be dangerous for people and their pets to be outside for more than a few minutes. But they do say necessity is the mother of invention. Emily Fitzpatrick takes us to an indoor dog park in Edmonton that's booming.
As the temperatures plummet, the chaos rises at Happy Hound Spray and Play. Since the start of the cold snap, the phones at the indoor dog park have been ringing off the hook.
We went from pretty steady numbers, good growth, because we're a pretty new business, to just an astronomical increase in phone calls, in reservations. So calls went from, a standard number to over like 200 a day. We've been trying to keep up. Our reservations, we've been booked out. We added extra reservations to accommodate more people coming into the parks. So we've adjusted all that. But yeah, people have just been coming in droves.
The park opened in October and has a unique setup. It's split into sections, so big dogs like Rex can splash to their heart's content. While next door, the Frenchies of Edmonton can meet up for some socializing. Many of the owners found their way here for the first time, desperate to get their dogs running after days of being cooped up inside.
Very hard. We've been having to play some games around the house. I randomly was searching some indoor places to take him and it popped up. And being it had water, I knew he'd love it.
He's almost 6, so it's not the worst, but we bought him some new toys, and 3 kids, they just play with him, and he runs around the house, and so it hasn't been the worst, but it definitely feels it. He feels the lack of walks and energy.
That energy seems to be burning off inside this park, a solution these owners are grateful for, especially with cold temperatures expected to linger for most of the week. Emily Fitzpatrick, CBC News, Edmonton.
This weather update is brought to you by Crestview Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
And our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. I'm dying to know, if I don't have a dog, can I still go to the dog park? Because that was too cute.
Yeah, that's right. That pool looks like a lot of fun, too. They even got the jets in there going. Those dogs are getting the royal treatment. It is going to be cold a little bit through the rest of the week here, but the good news is we're no longer in extreme cold warning territory. All of those warnings now dropping off for the entire province. Still lingering, though, in portions of northern Alberta. But, you know, we got through this cold snap with some pretty remarkable data. In Regina, we had a period of 96 consecutive hours of a wind chill below -40. And according to Rolf Campbell, a weather statistician, that's the third longest run on record that we've had in Regina. Even more impressive, 130 consecutive hours of a wind chill below -35. That is the second longest run that we've had for that on record. Saskatoon, you had about 94 hours of below -40 with the wind chill, but here's the remarkable one, 165 hours below -35 with the wind chill. That is just shy of what we had in February of 2021. That was a pretty rough cold snap that we had in that year. Something that has, of course, been making those temperatures just feel all that much colder is the wind, and of course contributing to that wind chill that we have been seeing. And it has been breezy through the province today, continues to be even at this hour, and therefore we are still seeing wind chills in sort of the upper -20s, low -30s. You can see where it's really bad in kind of the stretch between Regina and Saskatoon, but again, out of extreme cold warning criteria. Southwestern Saskatchewan starting to see things warm up. That is usually the case there, but the other thing that's helping is this low pressure system in Alberta, which is bringing through a bit of snow there overnight tonight. Snow moving through northern Saskatchewan as well. That should dissipate by tomorrow, leading to partly to mostly cloudy skies for a lot of us. Then another system moving through southwestern Saskatchewan as we get into early Thursday morning. Through the day Thursday, another low pressure system moving backward through Manitoba, going to bring some light snow through the north again before things finally start to calm down a bit as we head into Friday. So snowfall totals overnight tonight, probably about 1 to 3 centimeters through much of northern Saskatchewan. That next system moving through Thursday, adding maybe another couple of centimeters, especially closer to the Manitoba border. I think Manitoba is likely where we're going to see heavier amounts there. Overnight tonight, maybe a couple of centimeters in the southwest, but that second system bringing maybe between 5 and 10 centimeters to the southwest. A couple of centimeters expected for east central sections as we head over these next couple of days here. So for Regina, maybe some flurries tomorrow. Temperatures around -20. That'll be the case for the next couple of days. A bit of a brisk day again with northwesterly winds on Thursday. And then cloud cover starts to become a theme as we start to see that warm up and a couple of gusty days here and there. Saskatoon, again, possibility for flurries tomorrow for you as well. Winds picking up a little bit on Thursday. And then temperatures starting to get closer to normal there as we head through the rest of the weekend. So some cloudier days here, Sam. We start to lose the sun, but at least warmer.
Hey, I am happy to hear the words normal. I can go for that.
Yeah, same here.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
There's always been a lot of fighting in Washington, D.C., but not like this. The area has seen a lot of snow the past couple of days, and that inspired the Washington, D.C. Snowball Fight Association to hold a massive battle on the National Mall. So employees of the National Gallery and the National Air and Space Museum took aim at each other. A little too cold to do something like that here. Maybe in a few days. We'll be back after the break. Canada's overall inflation rate ticked back up to 3.4% in December, according to the latest numbers from Stats Canada. As Nisha Patel reports, analysts say it's evidence the road to curbing inflation is going to be bumpy.
The basics cost Canadians even more in December. Rent and the interest on mortgages. Groceries and gas prices all up compared to a year ago. It helped inflation heat back up to 3.4%.
This will certainly, give the Bank of Canada pause, as it indicates we're not out of the woods yet on inflation.
Some prices are falling as consumers rein in their spending. Travel services cost less, and so do home entertainment systems.
We have seen very clear slowing in the economy. For instance, if you look at GDP, it basically hasn't grown in the last 9 months.
The Bank of Canada wants to see inflation cool before it cuts the interest rates that have Canadians paying more to borrow money. Experts forecast that could come later this year, but the situation is still fragile.
Because things are so volatile, you can't really make very many forecasts.
Conflict in the Red Sea could throw the inflation fight off track. Houthi rebels are attacking cargo ships, disrupting a key shipping route.
A lot of predictability is very, very important in the shipping industry, so it's causing some operational concerns that way.
Shipping costs have spiked since the attack started. Experts say companies could start to feel the strain.
We have those delays in transit times. If that continues, the impact, continues to magnify throughout the supply chain.
And while the system isn't as stressed as it was during the pandemic, prolonged tensions could fan the flames of inflation once more.
To me, the single biggest risk is if we had a backup in energy prices.
For now, inflation is still above the Bank of Canada's 2% target. Most analysts predict there won't be any interest rate cuts until June. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
And Ethan's back with your last look at weather.
Yeah, and we're starting a little bit chilly again tomorrow in Regina, around -22. Again, feeling closer to -30 with a little bit of wind chill. We're starting with a mix of sun and cloud that will likely be clouding over as we head toward the afternoon. There is a chance of flurries as well as we head into the afternoon. Not too much of an improvement temperature-wise, as that's pretty much our daytime high at -20. And Saskatoon, this is pretty much where we will end up as well, but we'll see the clouds clear a little bit. Still, we could also see a few flurries too. And speaking of Saskatoon, Bob headed out east of the city the other day to grab a few prairie portraits, some very nice picturesque photos, and some warmer days ahead, Sam, to take photos like these.
Yay! Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Oh, before we go, extreme temperatures have left many a vehicle with a dead battery, and waits for tow trucks are lengthy. CAA Saskatchewan says there have been about 4,000 requests for service since last Thursday, but one Regina man's trying to help out. He has braved the cold, and he's been boosting cars all over the city.
Oh, it's crazy. It's like, I don't know, it's -50 or -56, but it's chilly. I got stuck by myself like 2 days ago and nobody was there to help me, but somehow I managed to get my car started. Then I thought like a lot of people get stuck because of this weather and no tow truck are available for like 5-6 hours and they're charging like a hell money. So then I start posting online like if somebody needs a help, and a lot of people reach to me, and I think this is my 24th car since last 2 days to boosting them up. And I went to charge someone's car. It's an old lady, I don't know the name, but she invited me inside her house. She talked to me about her grandchildren and all that. About it's really, really good, like people treating me like I'm their own family member.
I'm so very, very glad to people to help me my wife's car.
What does it mean to you that somebody's coming to help us like this as a stranger?
I'm so happy because someone in the community in the Greens to the Facebook and then just come up here.
It's really, really fun. Like the people walking by the road, you don't even know them. You're not even boosting their cars, but they're waving you. They're saying hi. They're appreciating. They're saying thanks to you. It's really good.
That is some really good karma. Well done. That is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/Sask or /Saskatoon. You can subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel or go download the CBC News app on your phone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night. Stay warm.